Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Millicent Walker.
Hello and welcome tonight. Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi tests negative for COVID-19 after 11 days in self-isolation. NAPTIP reacts to cry for help by stranded Nigerian girls in Lebanon, says federal government is resolved to evacuating them back home. And Russian health authorities set to begin mass vaccination campaign against COVID-19 in October as global confirmed cases soar. Plus, you'll see business and sports. On Business News tonight, Central Bank survey shows positive economic outlook from August after months of setback caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
And on Sports News tonight, Arsenal beat London rivals Chelsea 2-1 at Wembley to win the FA Cup.
And now, after months of anticipation, Lagos residents may now begin to heave a sigh of relief as the state government has given a green light for the reopening of worship centres from August the 7th, but at 50% capacity. Restaurants in the state are also to operate eat-in services from August the 14th. Club, bars and game centres are, however, not on this list. These were some of the highlights of the COVID-19 update by the Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, today at Marina, Lagos.
Places of worship in Lagos will now be open from Friday, the 7th of August, for our Muslim worshippers, and on Sunday, the 9th of August, for our Christian worshippers. But we will only be allowing 50% of their capacity.
That's the latest news coming from the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, as Muslims and Christians have been given the nod to throw their doors open to worshippers after being shut for 5 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Sanwo-Olu, however, demands strict adherence to the safety guidelines in order to flatten the curve of the virus.
We will be increasing the permissible capacity for public gathering from 20 that we had in the past month to 50%. This means that at AGMs, annual general meetings, at funerals, at regulated social events, you can actually increase the capacity now. Lagosians should please continue to keep in mind that there is still documented evidence that mass gathering can increase the spread of the infectious disease.
The state government has also relaxed the restrictions placed on eateries with clear directive to expand the scope of their services, while others are not so lucky.
Restaurants will now be permitted to open for in-dining services from the 14th of August, with a proviso to keep 50% occupancy capacity, meaning that they can now open from the 14th, but ensuring that they keep 50% of their capacity as for in-dining provisions. Social clubs and recreational centers, they will also be allowed to open from the 14th. However, we will still not be able to open nightclubs, cinemas, and game arcades for now.
While the reopening of more economic activities by the Lagos State government may bring a sigh of relief for many residents, government insists all safety protocols must be taken seriously for the battle against COVID-19 to be won.
Meanwhile, there's good news coming from the Governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, after announcing in his Twitter handle that he has tested negative for COVID-19. Dr. Fayemi, who is also the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, went into isolation 11 days ago after testing positive for the virus. He thanked everyone who prayed for him during the period of his treatment, reminding Nigerians of the need to sustain efforts to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. And more Nigerians stranded abroad as a result of the coronavirus outbreak continue to find their way back home. The latest are 300 citizens who arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, from the United States of America today via Ethiopian Airlines. This was announced by the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, on its Twitter handle, explaining that it is the fifth evacuation from the U.S., and this brings the number of evacuees from that country to a total of 1,430. The Commission stated that all the returnees tested negative for COVID-19 before boarding and will undergo 14-day self-isolation as mandated by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. And public health experts have warned about the risks of low coronavirus testing as lockdowns in African countries begin to ease and urban populations become more mobile. With the expansion of the molecular laboratory network and the use of gene expert machines, how fast can Nigeria meet up as community transmission of the virus continues across the country? This next report looks at where we are from the target of testing 2 million population in 3 months. As the world faces a global health emergency, Africa, which seems like it has been spared, is still seeing a rise in cases. Testing is still a major drawback.
We are seeing in Africa and other parts of the world that when measures to suppress COVID-19 transmission are eased, cases creep up. So it's important that authorities and all communities have the capacities in place to react quickly and comprehensively with strong surveillance, testing, isolation, and contact tracing.
With fears of a second wave of the coronavirus, experts say testing cannot be a Russian roulette.
It's important that we test more people. First milestone of testing, which is 10%, and then of course it needs to go higher. So without really getting a real sense of what's happening in the country, it's difficult to say whether the government is doing a good job or not.
The laboratory strategic group that is responding to this outbreak has set itself a target of testing 2 million people in the next 3 months.
Words from around the end of April, Dr. Ihekwazu disclosed that the 2 million would come to about 50,000 per state, which he noted was a very ambitious target. As state governments and ministries of health lead the response at some national levels, states in the southeast and others have mandated testing for healthcare workers, compulsory testing for teachers and other officials.
What we've agreed in Southeast is that we should, do testing on all our teachers.
But in terms of testing, where are the states? Only Lagos has surpassed that target of 50,000, however, with a population of states combined.
We've performed over 22,000 tests in Lagos so far, and we are increasing our capacity to carry out tests more and more every day.
In the meantime, across Nigeria, non-compliance to the use of the face mask, physical distancing and other protocols continue to dominate the headlines. As at today, Nigeria has over 60 labs across the country testing for the SARS-CoV-2 virus, with the federal government saying that it is expanding its capacity with the gene expert machines and extraction kits. With the spread of the virus not abating, it seems that Nigeria must adjust its policies against the data in its approach to flattening the curve if it must meet the ambitious target of testing 2 million people in another 3 months. We'll return to that subject of COVID-19 testing later, but for now, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has been reacting to the video in which about 30 Nigerian women are claiming to be stranded in Lebanon after being trafficked there. Speaking to Channels Television today, the Director General of the agency says the women have already been documented with the Nigerian embassy in Lebanon and will be evacuated soon. She says there are many stranded Nigerians all over the world world for various reasons, and work is ongoing to bring them back. In the video, which has gone viral, the girls say they want the federal government to help them come back home.
Please, we are pleading to you. We are guests from Lebanon. We are stranded. Please, all of us that we are sitting here, we are all sleeping in this same room. We are cooking our food inside this room. We are sleeping here. Everything we want to do inside this one room. Please, we need your help. We need your help, our government, our pastors, our afars, our imams. Please, we need your help. You will not lose your children. You will not cry over your children. Please help us. We have regretted coming to this place already. Please, we need your help. We need to go back to our father's land. We want to come home, please.
The 30 girls in Lebanon are amongst the 150 girls that have been documented to bring back. Where they are staying right now, the embassy, Nigerian embassy in Lebanon, put them there, at least kept them in a safe space. And they are not just folding their hands and playing. They are working hard with the Nigerian government here and the relevant partners to bring them back. And we will bring them back, just like we've been bringing back girls from all over the world. I mean, a few weeks ago, we had a plane load of girls coming back from Lebanon. I mean, so this is not a one-off exercise. It's a work in progress, and it's a gradual work in progress because we have about 5,000 of them there in Lebanon alone. We're talking about Oman, we're talking about Dubai, we're talking about Mali, all over the place. It's not a cheap exercise. It's a very expensive exercise, and the federal government is doing all it can to bring them back.
In the meantime, reactions have been trailing the judgment of a magistrate court in Zuba acquitting Senator Elisha Abbo of physically assaulting a woman for lack of diligent prosecution by the police. A viral video showing Senator Elisha Abbo physically assaulting a woman in a sex toy shop in the FCT surfaced in May 2019, leading to protests demanding justice for the victim. Our correspondent Linda Kiwe reports.
You are very stupid. I think you're very stupid. I've been coming to you. Are you mad? I know where you go. I think you're very stupid.
In July 2019, a video showing then-Senator-elect Elisha Abbo physically assaulting a woman began circulating online. Details later emerged that Senator Abbo allegedly physically assaulted Ms. Osimibra Wamate in a sex toy shop in Wuse, Abuja on May 11, 2019, following her intervention in a disagreement involving Senator Abbo and the shopkeepers after his companion vomited and fainted in the shop. The video, which went viral, angered many Nigerians who organized protests at the police headquarters and at the National Assembly demanding justice. While the police promised to investigate the assault, the Senate also set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the matter. However, the report by the committee is yet to be presented on the floor.
I am here to apologize to Nigerians.
In a news conference, Senator Abbo apologized to Nigerians, particularly to the family of the woman he assaulted.
I personally apologize to Bibra and her family for my actions.
But on July 31st, 2020, the magistrate court in Zuba, on the outskirts of Abuja, dismissed the assault case instituted by the police against Senator Abbo. The court upheld the no-case submission filed by the senator, saying the police failed to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt that the lawmaker indeed assaulted Osimibra Wamate on May 11, 2019.
The court found that press conference granted by Senator Abbo is not a confessional statement which can be used in convicting him, and therefore the court was of the view that based on the evidence presented by the prosecution, including the victim herself, is not enough to substantiate the allegation.
Buki Shonibare was one of the protesters who is demanding justice for the assaulted victim. She says the court judgment is a big blow to Nigerians and a setback on the war against gender-based violence.
Saying that the video evidence, the CCTV, or the Elisha Abbo's apology was not tenable or the medical reports. Those were the three evidence that were presented, that they were not sufficient in proving that case. Then we have a problem where the system is designed to protect the high and mighty against the low and vulnerable.
She's also extremely disappointed with law enforcement agencies and the National Assembly.
Have architecture systems in place where one of your own goes against that law. You do everything possible to make sure that the person does not stand any longer as a lawmaker.
It was too clear.
Wande Ede is a gender rights activist. She says the court judgment underscores the difficulties in assessing justice for gender-based violence.
You spend money to open files, you spend money to move files from one point to another, to arrest the suspects. You're going to spend money if you go to the police. If you have to go to court, before the case is charged to court, you're going to just keep spending money. And at the end of the day, you're not even sure if you're going to get justice.
It is not known for now if the judgment will be appealed by the police or the victim. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, we'll examine the challenge of testing for COVID-19 in Nigeria, and we have a professor of public health at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Professor Adedeji Onayade, to discuss this. You stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Lagos State Government gives green light for the reopening of worship centres in the state from August the 7th, eases restrictions on restaurants. NAPTIP reacts to cry for help by stranded Nigerian girls in Lebanon, says federal government is resolved to bringing them back home. And Russian health authorities set to begin mass vaccination campaign against COVID-19 in October as global confirmed cases soar. Plus, business and sports. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube, other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via smart TV platforms, Apple TV, Android TV, Fire, and Roku. Let's now return to the issue of COVID-19 testing in Nigeria and what health experts are saying on the risks of low activity in that regard. I took up a professor of public health, Professor Adedeji Onayade from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, on the subject. For more on meeting the testing target, Professor Adedeji Onayade, Professor of Public Health at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, joins us on the News at 10. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10, Prof.
Thanks for having me on the program.
All right, Professor Onayade, testing to diagnose viral infections is set to be key to controlling the pandemic. What would you say as to our management of the pandemic, given where we are now regarding testing?
We still have some significant challenge with getting everyone tested. At least that is our experience from Osun State. We would have loved to do more tests, but we are unable to do so. I think basically because these tests are very expensive. For example, we will have students coming in, and it will have been nice for every one of them to be tested so that we can sort out those who have the infection from those who do not have infection. But I doubt if that will be possible with the resumption of students that we hope will happen next week. From all we have heard in the news, concerning resumption for the final or the exiting classes of students.
Now, Prof, we have tested over 280,000 samples as at today, and we have about 61 labs, out of which 13 are gene expert machines. Now, with this infrastructure on ground, shouldn't we be testing much more?
Certainly, for a country of 200 million, if you are talking about 200,000, that is like talking about, it's like a drop of water into an ocean. We are grossly under testing. Where we are today, we are grossly under testing. I mean, 200,000 for a population of 200 million is just too little.
Lagos is the epicenter, and it has activated collection centers across the LGAs, yet it is witnessing a daily increase of COVID-19. Do you agree with the state government to open worship centers at 50% capacity among other existing measures?
Well, that would be a good thing to do if they can support the costs. We need to do more testing to identify those who are infected so that we can quickly, rapidly take them out from circulation into isolation, whether at home or facility. And testing is key to identifying those who are infected.
Finally, Prof, what do you think are the next steps that we need to take to see that the curve is flattened?
Well, again, it comes to the same mantra, testing, testing, testing. If we test adequately, we will identify infected people as early as possible and prevent them from infecting others. But as long as we have very low capacity for testing, we can just expect that many people will get infected before they are picked up, either because they have become symptomatic, which again worsens the prognosis of the illness. So the important thing is to be able to test as many people as possible. For example, if I were to have my way, all health workers should be tested mandatorily, and they should have repeat tests from time to time so that we can identify those of them that are infected before they have the opportunity to infect patients. And this also should go for students coming into boarding houses with the resumption of schools. I think the most important thing for us to do now is to test.
All right. My discussion with a public health professional on COVID-19 testing in Nigeria. Let's go to other stories now, where it may just be a few days into his tenure, but the new leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association can be sure of the continued cooperation of President Muhammadu Buhari in addressing the challenges and opportunities facing the legal profession and the country. The president's support for the NBA leadership was given during a congratulatory message to the new president of the association, Mr. Olumide Akpata, who was elected a few days ago. The president wished him success in his new position of leading Nigerian lawyers to chart a path of professional development and fulfillment. To politics now. A former governor of Imo State, Mr. Emeka Ihedioha, says the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Imo State will win every and any election conducted in Imo State henceforth. He expressed his confidence in Owerri as the PDP in the state chose its leaders at a congress in the Imo State capital. The former Deputy House Speaker, who returned to the state to a rousing welcome, noted that the party remains the only party, the PDP, that can deliver good governance and dividends of democracy to Imo people.
A thorough screening exercise was conducted, and eligible candidates who emerged were successful, who were voting for. Reasonably, there was some consensus building, but in some areas where it was difficult to arrive at consensus, we are voting it out, and surely by the grace of God, the winner will emerge. We will remain the party of the people in the states. PDP will win every election, every and any election in the states, and so we know we'll win the next elections again. And God will be on our side.
Now to Edo State, where the former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Comrade Adams Oshomole, says he had a fulfilling time in office, even though it lasted for only 2 years. Comrade Oshomole was speaking during a reception organized in his honor by APC leaders in Issaku Central local government, insisting that he was betrayed by his successor, Governor Godwin Obaseki. He says he remains confident in the Edo APC governorship candidate, Pastor Osage Ezeyamu, to lead Edo on a path of progressive development. Meanwhile, the Edo APC governorship candidate, Pastor Ezeyamu, also said he and Mr. Oshomole were old-time allies whose bond have become stronger after years of misunderstanding between them. While berating the Obaseki administration for allegedly neglecting the developmental challenges facing the state, Mr. Ezeyamu promised to lead the footprints of Comrade Oshomole if elected as governor. And when the news at 10 returns, Central Bank survey shows positive economic outlook from August after months of setback caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. That's on Business News. Do stay with us. And to security, where in Nasarawa State, the village head of Odu community in Nasarawa local government area has been killed by gunmen. According to the Commissioner of Police in the state, Bola Longe, the killing occurred at about 10 p.m. yesterday when the perpetrators stormed the community and shot the retired Assistant Superintendent of Police, Amos Obere. The traditional ruler was said to have sustained serious injury in his stomach as a result of the gunshot and was rushed to the Maraba Udege General Hospital, where he later died. In a related development, this time in Plateau State, gunmen suspected to be herders also yesterday attacked a family of 4 in Gashishi district of Barkin Ladi local government area of Plateau State, killing 1 person and leaving the others injured. The gunmen were said to have attacked the family while they were asleep and shot them, leaving the man dying shortly after while being treated in hospital. Police Public Relations Officer of Plateau Command, ASP Gabriel Uba, however, said the attack was a case of armed robbery, adding that investigation is still ongoing. He said detectives, mobile men and conventional policemen have been deployed to ensure the area is calm and that the perpetrators are brought to book. Staying with security, residents have been recounting the incident in which 4 suspected armed robbers were burned to death by an irate mob following a bank heist at the agrarian town of Okeho in the Okeogun axis of Oyo State. The suspected armed robbers reportedly attacked a first-generation bank in the quiet town with grenades to gain access to the vaults where an undisclosed amount of money was quartered away. A mobile policeman attached to the bank was shot dead in the process, while cars were damaged, along with some bank property, while some people sustained injuries. Our correspondent, Bukola Oriowo, has more.
On Thursday, the quiet town of Okeho was rattled when suspected armed robbers laid siege on a first-generation bank in the town. According to police report, the robbers blasted their way into the bank premises, killing a mobile policeman at the entrance. On their way out with their loot, they were accosted by the police, residents and a vigilante group in the town, which resulted in an accident. 4 of the suspects were caught and burnt to death by the angry mob, while others escaped. The State Police Command, led by the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Chuksewanwu, was at the scene of the robbery on Friday to assess the situation. As the police team was leaving the bank, one of the explosives left by the robbers went off, injuring a young man identified as Okbe. The angry youth thereafter attacked the police convoy and chaos reigned. Shots were fired into the crowd and into the air. A police sergeant was hit in the confusion.
As I came into the town, I just saw the remains of those alleged bandits still burning. I believe that would have been as a result of the mob action, because from what I gathered, there has never been such an incident in this town or this area.
The Oyo State Police Command says it is on top of the situation and will ensure that all the other suspects are apprehended, while assuring residents of the area to go about their lawful businesses without any fear of molestation or threats. Bukola Uriu, Channel Television News.
Away from security, the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting the tourism sector, especially with the ban on international travels. One of those centres affected is the Obudu Ranch Resort in Cross River State, South Nigeria. The state government is seeking renewed patronage for the Obudu Ranch Resort, which the state government insists is the best in Africa because of its friendly topography.
Around the world, the tourism industry is one of the sectors that is greatly affected because of the COVID-19 pandemic, leaving events such as weddings, holidays and conferences to suffer, as those who intend to have good times with family and friends are now being restricted. This is why the Cross River State government is calling on all those who seek a holiday location to visit the Obudu Ranch Resort and have a swell time. According to the SA Obudu Ranch Resort, Bobby Ekpenyong, measures are already put in place to ensure that the ranch is safe following all the precautionary measures in curtailing the spread of COVID-19 put in place by the state governor.
We had our hand sanitizers located at all strategic points. We had the infrared thermometer test to check the body temperature, and we provided water in strategic places for hand washing. So, ranch is safe. Obudu Ranch is very safe for people to come.
Nollywood actor and producer who doubles as the DG of Kallywood, Shan George, describes the atmosphere as one of the finest places to visit with the best hospitality platforms.
I don't think anybody will come to this Obudu Cattle Ranch and not want to come back. I mean, the weather is so beautiful. The scenarios, the hills, the structure generally, the infrastructure, the games, the hospitality platforms here is totally overwhelming.
They want to hold conferences. They want to come on holiday. And so, this pandemic that has brought this untold hardship to Nigeria today can only find a complete window from Cross River State, because this is the natural habitat that can stimulate that for us.
While restrictions into various countries for tourism stands, the Obudu Ranch Resort is open to receiving guests, not just for holidays, but other eventful purposes.
Yay! Mama made it.
Communities in Michika and Madagali local government areas of Adamawa state affected by insurgency in the state can now heave a sigh of relief as the government begins to rebuild their infrastructure. They say their life has been difficult and unbearable for them as a result of the destruction on their social amenities by Boko Haram elements. According to them, they have remained in perpetual darkness without electricity and motorable roads.
Since the military liberated the 7 local government areas of Adamawa state from Boko Haram insurgents, lack of basic infrastructure has been a major concern by the affected communities. Infrastructure such as electricity supply, roads, bridges, schools and healthcare facilities were affected as a result of the insurgency since 2014. With relative peace in parts of the affected communities, the challenge of picking up the pieces of their lives has become a problem. The lack of electricity supply, damaged bridges, and lack of township roads. Businesses are affected, as welders lament, while others who depend on electricity for their business are compelled to seek alternative means. They narrate their experiences.
Now is almost at least nearing to 7 to 8 years now. There is no NEPA in this town. So we are suffering for this business because there is no light.
Muna kashe lita a kaɗan ɗin a yini in baka kashe ba za ka kashe kusan 20 liters. To 20 liters sai kuma litan gas yana wajen 250 in ke siyasa.
Worried by the devastation of these communities of Michika and Madagali local government areas, the Adamawa state governor visits the area to commission the power supply project. One other project is the flagging off of the construction of 5.1 kilometer of roads in Michika and 6.6 kilometer of roads in Gulak, Madagali local government area at the cost of 3.2 billion naira with a completion period of 8 months. The state governor on his part describes the area as still bleeding from the activities of Boko Haram. He therefore appeals to the people not to allow attacks by insurgents to consume their communities.
For the people of these communities that have been ravaged by the twin effects of insurgency and poverty, we owe a huge debt, and the starting point to the process of repaying this debt is by rebuilding basic infrastructure and social amenities, which is clearly lacking, and reversing the total neglect which the people have suffered. As government commits to construction and delivery of this road project, which traverses all the major roads in the two communities, you are obligated to reciprocate by providing the enabling environment for the contractors to deliver quality work.
As the state government begins the rehabilitation of communities affected by insurgency, residents are optimistic that normalcy will soon return to the area.
Here's BC Adebayo with the latest in business news.
Welcome to Business News. Businesses remain positive with a confidence index of 33.7 that Nigeria's economy from August will bounce back from the setbacks witnessed since the second quarter of this year. And that's according to the latest business expectation survey by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The survey shows that the respondents, despite the pessimism on the macroeconomy in July, remain optimistic in the overall business outlook in September. However, the respondents expressed dissatisfaction on how government is managing inflation in the country, while also maintaining a negative feel on access to credit and overall financial conditions. Meanwhile, the chances of expanding from August remains positive, with the respondent firms stating that they hope to employ in the next month. Meantime, the World Bank says about 30 million Africans will be out of extreme poverty and incomes of nearly 68 million people boosted if the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is properly implemented amid the economic turmoil caused by COVID-19. Of this figure, West Africa is expected to see the biggest decline by 12 million, followed by Central, Eastern and Southern Africa. The report also states that the continent's income will see a 7% gain by $450 billion and an increase in export of manufactured items by $560 billion. The banks add that creating a continent-wide market will require a determined effort to reduce trade costs and tariffs, as well as increase facilitation and services among member countries. Let's head to the markets now, and investors at the Nigerian equities markets are hopeful that the month of August will come with a more positive vibe as more earnings reports are expected to come in. The market has been very turbulent lately as investors have remained cautious due to the growing number of coronavirus cases in the country. But despite of negative sentiments, the holiday-shortened trading week saw the all-share index appreciating by 1.1% after closing in the green in 2 of 3 trading sessions. Traders say investor confidence is gradually returning to the market as some impressive earnings results seen so far have helped to moderate some of the tension earlier seen in recent sessions. With Monday kick-starting a new trading week and, of course, the first for the month of August, analysts advise investors to seek trading opportunities in only fundamentally justified stocks. British Airways pilots have agreed to a 20% pay cut and job loss of 270 instead of the initial 1,255 proposed by the airline, and that's according to the aviation union British Airline Pilots Association. According to the union, the pilots, 85% of them vote in favor of the deal, will eliminate the controversial fire and high approach British Airways planned to adopt after citing low cash flow and the coronavirus pandemic as reasons. The pilots' unions say there would still be some redundancies, but the 20% pay cut will reduce to 8% over 2 years and to 0 in the long term. The airline had proposed to make additional 12,000 staff redundant, stating that it did not expect to return to 2019 levels of business until at least 2023. And that's it on business news. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Bissy. Now, a market located in the Mushin area of Lagos State has been gutted by fire. The incident was said to have occurred around 1 p.m. with first responders, including officials of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, deployed to the scene to curb the spread of the fire. According to the Director General of LASEMA, the flames subsequently escalated to other adjoining shops, but with the joint efforts of the agency, the Nigerian Police and Lagos State Fire Service, the inferno was put out. He explained that upon arrival at the fire scene, it was discovered that a mattress shop was the initial source of the fire, but he added the cause has yet to be ascertained. Mostly affected are a story building as well as 6 bungalows housing shops and apartments. Still ahead on the news, the 10 Russian health authorities set to begin mass vaccination campaign against COVID-19 in October as global confirmed cases soar. Plus, we have more stories on COVID-19 global update. Stay with us.
Thanks, Millicent, and welcome to Sports News. Arsenal Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang worked his Wembley magic once again, scoring twice as the Gunners came from behind to beat Chelsea 2-1 and win the FA Cup for a record 14th time. Chelsea took the lead inside 5 minutes through Christian Pulisic, but captain Caesar gave away a penalty, which Aubameyang coolly converted. The Gabon forward put the icing on the cake in the 67th minute, dribbling past Kozuma, before chipping over goalkeeper Willy Caballero to score from a very tight angle, giving Arsenal the win that secures a place in the Europa League next season. Now, Liverpool's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Virgil van Dijk showed off the club's new Nike kit in a promotional video. The new kit is the first to be unveiled since the Premier League champions signed a multi-year deal with Nike as their new kit supplier from 2020 to 2021 season to replace New Balance. The Reds will proudly display the champions 2019-2020 patch on their kit. 6 times Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton shattered the Silverstone track record with a blistering lap to put dominant Mercedes on pole position for his home British Grand Prix. The 35-year-old, who will be chasing the record 7th win at the Silverstone on Sunday, was joined on the front row by Finnish teammate Valtteri Bottas, with the Red Bull's Max Verstappen qualifying 3rd. The pole was the 91st of Hamilton's career and 7th at the Silverstone.
Get in there, Lewis. That's it, mate. That was an awesome recovery. Wow, that was an up and down quali. That was good, bro.
Orlando Magic forward Jonathan Isaac became the first NBA player not to kneel during the national anthem since the league resumed on Thursday. Isaac, who chose not to wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt in the 128-118 victory over Brooklyn Nets, told his teammates earlier in the week of his decision. The 22-year-old says he believes Black Lives Matter, but added that kneeling or wearing a t-shirt did not go hand in hand with his strong religious beliefs.
You know, like I said, I think a lot of people have a stake in it with the flag. A lot of people have a stake in it with the president. I think a lot of people, you know, have a stake in it with hating the flag or not hating the president or whatever. You know, I absolutely way of phone condone racism. I'm black. I grew up black. I have a black little brother that lives in America. So I'm not for racism. I don't think that me not kneeling, you know, before the game when wearing a t-shirt makes me mean that at all.
And away from that, Swiss maestro Roger Federer surprised two young girls in Italy who had staged a remarkable rally from the rooftop of their neighboring buildings during the lockdown with a visit. Victoria Oliveira and Carolina Pessina, self-confessed Federer fans, went viral in April when they took their tennis game to a higher level, coolly managing a 12-shot rally between their families' rooftops. Moved by the viral video, Federer got into action with the help of an Italian pasta-making company and had a couple of rallies with the pair before treating them to lunch.
Sì che Nadal e Federer sono due nemici comunque.
Sì, però hanno anche un'amicizia tra loro. Tutte le volte che si sono giocati contro.
Ciao, spero ciao Vittoria. Come stai?
Federer sul nostro terreno.
Amazing here on the rooftop. All right, here we go. Let's have some fun. Into the mat.
Cool stuff, and that's it on Sports News. I'm Jeffrey Uzong. It's back to you, Millicent.
Probably need to learn tennis. Well, Russian health authorities are preparing to start a mass vaccination campaign against the coronavirus in October. The country's health minister says doctors and teachers will be the first to receive the vaccine. Here's more on our COVID-19 global update.
Russian officials say the country is on track to become the first to approve a vaccine against COVID-19. The health minister says Russia will seek to roll out a mass vaccination program in the country from October this year. However, Russia's progress has been met with skepticism by health officials in the US and Europe who have raised concerns over the effectiveness of the vaccine's testing process. India has reported more than 57,000 new coronavirus cases in 24 hours, marking a record daily total. The latest figure takes the country's caseload close to 1.7 million, with July alone accounting for nearly 1.1 million infections. Okinawa in Japan has declared a state of emergency following a surge in coronavirus infections. The regional governor, Deni Tamaki, has called on people to remain at home for the next 2 weeks. And finally, thousands of people gathered in the German capital Berlin to protest against the country's coronavirus restrictions. Demonstrators argue that measures introduced during the pandemic, such as wearing face masks, violate people's rights and freedoms.
The U.S. General Manager of TikTok, Vanessa Pappas, says the Chinese-owned video-sharing app is here for the long run after President Donald Trump said he would ban it in the U.S. U.S. security officials have expressed concern that the app owned by Chinese firm ByteDance could be used to collect the personal data of Americans. TikTok has denied accusations that it is controlled by or shares data with the Chinese government. The app has up to 80 million active monthly users in America. And the main news again. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu today gave the green light for the reopening of worship centres in the state from August the 7th, as he also eased restrictions on restaurants, allowing them to operate eat-in services. Also today, Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi announced that he had tested negative for COVID-19 after 11 days in self-isolation. Plus, you heard Russian health authorities today announce that it would begin mass vaccination campaign against COVID-19 in October. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Nwokam. Have a good night.